you guys for joining today's Veeam session, and hope you are all safe and in home during quarantine period. So Malo is our presenter and Adimola is our presenter for today's session. Adimola, over to you. You can start doing the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Harry. My name is Adimola. I'm a process engineer in Redington from West Africa. I'll be presenting today about how to automate the availability of data center. Colleagues is also going to join me after some times. We're going to be doing this simultaneously with the person of Malo titles from East Africa. So next slide, please. Yeah, about today, we are going to make sure that we mute everyone to prevent a distraction. And then whenever we have any question, we use the chat function and question and answer tab on this platform. Then for future references, we're going to make use of this by posting it to Veeam resource library. Next slide. Malo, next slide. Okay.
Yeah, I've changed.
Today introduction, today agenda, that's the introduction we have done rather. So we're going to talk about backup your endpoint. What exactly is the endpoint? What we mean by endpoint? We're going to expatiate further on that. Then we're going to talk about how to protect the remote access. What are the challenges that the edge infrastructures are facing in terms of management? And how has been come up to this to resolve this issue? We're going to discuss this. And to manage your remote workers, like we all know that data has now turned to be good. So data is very important, and the landscape residings are different diversities. So how do Veeam plays on all of these platforms? We're going to talk about that. And another very crucial area is we all know what the cloud is telling us today. Office 365 has become so common that it's available to every organization. What are the responsibilities of Microsoft, and what is our responsibility? I mean, our customers' responsibility. We're going to talk about that and the reason why we need to back this up. Then we need to also talk about the services that we can achieve through backup and disaster recovery, and how Veeam plays on all of this. We're going to talk about that, and at the end, we're going to entertain some questions which we are going to answer after the presentation. Next slide. So to start with Veeam, to some partners, Veeam is not a new solution, and to some, Veeam may be. But I just want us to see that enable customer to achieve parallel data availability. This is what Veeam is bringing on board. This is what Veeam is known for. And not that alone, visibility, automation, and governance across data center at the edge and in the cloud. So as a modern IT organization that we are looking at what we call innovate fast. Every organization wants to do things very fast at this point in time. So the legacy backup and recovery infrastructure cannot support customers' initiative. This is a fact. The way we do things before has really changed. So customers today want more of their platform and want more for their platform, I would say. And a lot of these platforms are both hybrid and both hybrid. Hybrid, and most also are basically cloud also. So management capability, they can never be surpassed by this legacy approach to data protection. we need Veeam has now built to be the #1 backup monitoring solution that has been designed to accelerate agility through automation in the core backup and recovery capability by enable data orchestration. So what do I mean by that? Regardless of where our infrastructure, our data resides, Veeam has come up with a solution that can give us that kind of leverage for good governance, security, analytics across cloud, virtual, and physical environment. Next, please. Next slide, please. So, working from home challenges. Working from home challenges are access to company data services, how to keep data protected, security. This is just to mention, Bill. I need the next slide. Hello.
That one?
Next slide. Next. So, what is cloud data management? I will let you understand from the Veeam perspective what cloud data management is. It is a platform from Veeam that is most complete a solution to help organizations evolve the way they manage data. Like we all know that stated earlier that data is very key to every organization now. Like I've said, these have been likened to oil, and some call data cloud. I mean data good. So making it smarter and more self-governant while ensuring its availability across any application and cloud infrastructure. So we need to be able to protect our data across multi-cloud environments and regardless of where they reside. So achieve unmatched data management and protection using your data to drive innovation across data center. This is what Veeam has come up with, and they have a solution regardless to all the landscape. Next slide. I'm going to show us from the next slide what it is, the chain by which these data are. If you look at it from this platform, you will end with one of from this chain that we have a universal storage APIs. We have the data labs, meaning where our data, the data vectors, I would say. Then orchestration layers is the next, while the monitoring and analytics is the next. And this comprises of all, be it in the cloud, be it as a service, be it virtual, and be it physical. Next slide. So from the next slide, I'm going to show us what Veeam has already put in place to address what and what. Let's look at from the monitoring analysis. Veeam 1, it is a comprehensive solution developed by Veeam software for managing virtual and data protection environment. Veeam 1 enables real-time monitoring, business documentation, and management reporting for Veeam softwares, all of them. So from Veeam 1 perspective, we're able to see and be able to predict and forecast what is in our backup environment. And from the orchestration level, we have a Veeam availability orchestrator, which is another solution from Veeam. What that one does, it leverages backups and replication and the failover and restore capability of Veeam backup and replication. And it allows us to build what we call a data recovery workflow, automate failover and restore processes. How do I mean by that? For example, an organization is having 2 data centers, and the users are connecting to the data center, and one data center shut down, unprepared for. So a lot of organizations might not be able to withstand the downtime for that kind of shutdown. So with availability orchestrator, we were able to eliminate all errors, prompts to manual steps that we could achieve from bringing up our data or making our data available. So orchestrator has provided a reporting capability enterprise document for compliance to meet compliance requirements, making to meet disaster recovery compliance requirements, automate disaster recovery procedures, and prove recoverability is a need. And the next one, when it comes to backup and recovery replication, is we have a Veeam backup for Office 365 and Veeam backup for Veeam backup and replication. All these are solutions from Veeam, and then in all of this, we have what we call Veeam availability suite. This Veeam availability suite comprises of Veeam backup software and Veeam One for monitoring. A lot of organizations might not want to probably go for Veeam availability suites. That means they can go for Veeam backup and replication without Veeam One, which is for monitoring. We also have a Veeam backup enterprise manager from Veeam backup replication that we can also view on the environment, but it's not as comprehensive like the Veeam One. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Ademola. Hello, everyone. Everyone here knows that data is the new oil. And my name is Marlo Titus, Pre-Sales Engineer for Veeam under Redington Gov. So my question is, are your laptops, desktop, physical servers protected from data loss? And if so, how robust is the protection recommendation according to Veeam? So I will talk on Veeam agents, what they are able to offer, different ways of deploying them, touch also on the protection groups, and also finish up with the backup and backup policies. Okay, this discussion will be based on Veeam's goals of simple, flexible, and reliable, and some of the recommended industry best practices such as the 3-2-1 rule, with Veeam adding another 0 at the end for making sure that we have 0 errors while you are doing recovery and also your backup. I'll also touch on immutability against ransomware and also so on. Okay, as part of Veeam agents are part of Veeam availability suite, just as how my colleague Ademola has mentioned. And these ones are able to make sure that you can be able to backup, recover your physical, and also the data that is sitting on cloud. I will also talk about the offers of cloud mobility, which Veeam agents can be able to do. That one makes sure that your data can be able to move from the physical agents and it can be able to be stored on cloud. And on cloud, if you're talking about cloud, we'll be talking about some of technologies such as Amazon S3. We'll talk about Azure Blob and so on. Also, we'll talk about the integrated monitoring and analytics that Veeam agents can be able to offer. This makes sure that with Veeam agents, they have a built-in intelligence that you can be able to integrate with Veeam One, and you can have visibility of your workloads. Those are the physical workloads. Maybe if you are talking about workstations, if you are talking about physical server, you can be able to see, you can be able to have visibility, complete visibilities of those agents and also physical workloads. And also these Veeam agents are able also to make sure that you can be able to have visibility of all those workloads sitting on cloud platform. Again, we'll talk about the restored data, restoration of Veeam agents. That makes sure that with Veeam agents that have been integrated into Veeam availability suite, you can be able to restore data to any location. May it be on another physical workload. May it be you want to restore directly to cloud, such as Microsoft Azure. Veeam can be able to offer you this. We'll also talk about the governance and compliance that Veeam agents can be able to offer you in making sure that you have a central management of all agents. At this time of pandemic that is hitting the entire world, you find that employees are working remotely. So an organization needs to have a central management point where they can be able to monitor all the workstations that are running from remote offices. Veeam agents can be able to offer you this with integration with Veeam Availability Suite. Veeam agents will also talk about the encryption part of it, where you make sure that your data that's being transmitted is encrypted. And my colleague Ademola will touch on this when it comes to his part. We'll also talk about the 3-2-1 retention options that we have with them. Okay. Next slide, we'll talk about the agent deployments, how Veeam agents can be able to be deployed. So you'll find that we have two ways of agent deployment. That is the managed mode and the standalone mode. So if we talk about the managed mode, that is where the managing of these agents is done from one console. That is the Veeam backup and replication server. And this Veeam backup and replication is a product that is part of Veeam Availability Suite. So this one makes sure that not only management, deployment, and configuration of agents is done from the Veeam backup and replication server. With the Veeam backup and replication server, it makes sure that now you can be able to deploy directly to different workloads. You can be able to configure, you can be able to send policies directly from Veeam backup and replication server. And also apart from that, we have the unmanaged one. With the unmanaged mode, this is where Veeam agents, these agents cannot be managed from the console now, the Veeam backup and replication console. This, you can also call it standalone mode. This one, in that installation is done manually. This is where you need to do installation of agents manually to every single workload and configure it on every single workload. And also, not only installation, also configuration is done manually. So in that, if you have a physical server, if you have a physical workstation, you need to install the agent manually and also configure it manually. I'll also take you through the protection groups that we have. And the protection groups that we have is that protection groups are those groups that, when you talk about protection group, we say where you have some specific workloads, they have been combined or organized into protection groups. In that, technically, a protection group is a container in the Veeam backup and replication inventory, which is aimed to combine protected computers for a specific type. For example, you can use a dedicated protection group for a computer for some type, for the same type. For example, laptops, you can make sure that you have one protection group that only is aimed at laptops, workstations, or servers. And these ones will make sure that you have some specific policies that are running on these agents. Okay, so if you choose which system in the environment should be protected using agents, you can also choose that from a specific selected system. You can select it from an AD object so that you can just import and make sure that these computers will be protected under this group and these computers will be protected under this group. You can also get a protection group based on an SCV file that's sitting on your server or in your computer. And also select option, when you look for the new system, you can also be able to select which computers you want to make sure that are protected in a specific group. I'll also talk about how to install agents and also how to configure advanced settings for agent for Windows. I'll touch on those part of presentation. Okay. I'll also go and discuss about backup job types. So if you're doing a backup job types for agents, you need to make sure, are they managed by backup server? I talked about this one. Or are they managed by agent? So for example, if managed by backup server, you'll have a backup job is created in Veeam backup and replication console. And the agents on this system will act as Veeam proxies. Okay. The backup server will trigger and control what are the agents doing. The backup server will be able to trigger this. And if we come to manage agents, we'll talk about a policy will be pushed to these agents, which makes sure that agents now will be doing everything. You can be able to do it from the agent side. If you are installing, you can be able to make sure that the agents will make sure that they're running. The policies will be triggered from the agents, and everything will be running from agents, which means that person who is running on the agent side, that is the user, can be able to schedule a job, can be able to terminate a job, can be able to configure a specific job. And also, if it comes to upgrading of the agents, the specific users are the ones that now will be able to upgrade or downgrade or change any setting on that agent. My colleague Ademola will take you through protection of remote access.
Okay. Thank you, Malo. Sorry, to protect your remote assets, what exactly, some people has also been asking questions about that. So I've been trying to answer them. When it comes to the remote assets, or what exactly are we talking about? So, and we can now talk about remote assets without mentioning the networking, which is making us to be connected to the main the headquarters of the main data center. And like we all know that networking is one of the most complicated aspects of any IT solution. Whether we are establishing a connection to a remote site or a connection to branch offices or extending on premise network to cloud and all of that, organization by default need an easier way to manage this network. But that's what Veeam has now done. There are a lot of legacies that are protecting all of this. One of them is probably doing what we call deduplication. What do I mean by deduplication? Ability for a backup solution as backup per se. The only changes that has happened over time, so that it will eliminate any redundancy. So, and we also introduced another one we call compression, which is also make sure that it reduces the size of what is going through the pipe. But having said that, Veeam also take another further leap. I would say a positive step forward outside all this. And that is when they now introduce what we call a Veeam Power Network. What is exactly Veeam Power Network? A Veeam Power Network is a free tool designed to simplify and orchestrate our VPN networking. You understand? And any issue that could generated from a configuration as the VPN networking configuration. This eliminates any manual network connectivities and complicated VPN procedure. And then I'm going to use a benefit of this VPN to this Veeam power network to express myself. Let's look at this slide. If you look at, you know that the challenges that people really face is the further we are away from the headquarters, the more bottlenecks we see in transferring data across. It's not the problem we see in probably getting connection to the data center. So with Veeam Power Network, we were able to simplify the remote access. And how do we do that? We were able to allow remote offices. We were able to allow the remote workers, the home offices, the mobile users to achieve connectivity regardless of the location. Users can gain and keep access to any system remotely, either in the cloud or on premises. And I'm going to give us the only view. I'm trying to come up with a visual diagram to this, but I was thinking I would use my slide, but my slide was not really coming up to show. That's why we are using my colleague's slide, Malo. I have it on my slide, a visual diagram for this simplified remote access. So I will paint it by describing now. So we will have our main office, which is the headquarters somewhere. And from that headquarters, we will create a virtual Veeam powered network local gateway on a virtual machine on that environment. Then we are going to have premises depending on the customer. Let me use, for example, the oil and gas people. Sorry, I'm speaking from Lagos, Nigeria. So I will use my environment I'm so conversant with. Let's say, for example, the main office is in Lagos, Nigeria, and the remote offices are played for the oil and gas are in Bonicam. That is another further state away from Lagos. So with VPN, what we'll do is either we have another what is called another infrastructure or a cloud-based provider that we will have what we call a VPN server, where this VPN network, VPN power network software will reside on. So the end users, the workstations, the home offices will be connecting to. Ideally, they should be connecting to the main office with the VPN. But because of we use this Veeam powered network, like I will call from the networking perspective, like a booster, like a network booster. It brings the VPN closer to them based on this. So they are going to connect to the Veeam power network server that is located close to the area. It is from that place that will also be connected to the local gate VPN Veeam power network in the main site. So this brings the communication closer and it bridged any difficulties in the bottlenecks in terms of activity. Then the second what's it called now? The second advantage of this I will also talk about is recovering is a cloud to cloud availability. The same thing is going to also happen. We have a Veeam powered network that can be used. It's used to easily and affordable extend cloud to cloud network to connect multiple cloud together, provide availability across sites, and removing complexity from multi-site configuration. So, from the holistic view, from the item I've put in place also before, we're still going to have the local Veeam. I will shorten it by calling it Veeam PN as a large gateway, which is going to reside on any virtual server we rated. And the VPN is going to link to the nearby VPN server in any of the cloud provider. So it depends on the location now of the users. So they are going to connect to the nearest cloud provider where they are being powered network server. That is where they connect to, which is the closest to them. So the Veeam power network server will be connected via the VPN to the closest nearest another VPN server that is closest to the local gateway. So we bring that connectivity directly to the hotspot. So the segmentation of all these that the strength and power, the signal that is necessary, required to get a data across. And aside all of this, I will not but made mention of what we call one optimization, which is also part of the benefit Veeam is bringing on board. All this comprises together, and like I've said, this is a free tool from Veeam that enhance connectivity and accessibility of the remote infrastructure to the main office, and the backup and the data stream and data replication, data backup will be very easy, and there won't be any bottleneck. And in addition to this, we also have what we call incremental policies that will be set in place. All of these emphases together will enhance fast backup, simple backup, and easy connectivity to the VBR server in the main office where the backup processes are always. So this will relieve of a lot of bottlenecks that will happen. We are connecting directly from the remote offices through VPN directly to the main office. Next slide. So that will solve the challenges of this. And then the access to data services, like I've said, VPN is definition now that gives us a user holistic site to site and point to site networking tools designed to keep remote offices, home offices, user always on and connected to any system remotely, regardless of the location. Like I've said, what is when we have, I want to come a bit closer now. We have a main switch. Then in a bigger office, we use what we call a booster, like another extension that will boost the signal based on the distance. So the same kind of approach is this what VPN Veeam powered network. It brings closer all the distance remote areas, distance workstation infrastructure away from the main office. Make sure that it brings them together, and the kind of bottlenecks in terms of connectivity, strong signal that is required to pull across the data is not being denied. So the rate at which the backup will be the rate at which the backup works will be more efficient and more faster. And putting into this the incremental backup policies, which will now make it to be as fast as anything. This is the way Veeam has make sure that the remote offices are being backed up faster and more effectively. Next slide, please. So we have a VPN to rescue. So a mention of this. This is also available via the AWS Azure Marketplace, and like I've said, is a free tool. And with this, we can also see what is going on. We can get an alert on this report. Let's say, for example, a particular the Veeam power network server is down in a particular area, and there is a need for a window. There is a window or a policy at a particular period of time to run on those infrastructure. We will be able to walk around it and know why and what is happening. So we get an alert on this and we get a reporting on this. This gives us a total visibility of what is going on our backup infrastructure, which is also another very key benefit of Veeam Power Network free tools that Veeam has introduced. Next slide, please. So, see, I've also talked about this. It can also be integrated to any of these cloud infrastructure. Next slide, I've made mention of all this. So it works with AWS very well. It works with Microsoft, Amazon, and it can also this Veeam powered network server can also be positioned in its second data center we have. Let's say, for example, a company here is having a data center, the main data center in Accra, and we're having another data center in Tema, and there are a lot of other people working around Tema region. So we can also put the Veeam Power Network server in Tema, while we will have the Veeam Power Gateway in Accra main office. So the people from Tema region, I'm talking about the people in Accra now, they will understand this better. The people around Tema, they will be connected through the Veeam Power Network server in Tema, which will be connected through the VPN to the main office by the Veeam Power Network local gateway. So this is the bottleneck, the slow kind of when data is being stored or backup. So that is what I'm trying to explain. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Slide. Yeah. Office 365, we are partners, and I want to really buttress more on this Office 365. That is, this a concept that we all have, especially our customers. We are partner. The kind of information we dish to these guys goes a long way. And the truth about us is this information we are trying to share is for us as a partner to make more, to generate more revenue to our organization. So Office 365 is what every organization is looking at today. That is it. Majority has not even have. And there is 1,000 reason that I used to tell my people that if you have any of these places you have sold Office 365, these are the potential customers for you to be able to sell Veeam to. Any customer that is using Office 365 that doesn't have Veeam, need Veeam. That is a big information for you as a partner. And these are the major reasons why they need Veeam. And the first one is sensor deletion. What do I mean by that? Let's say, for example, a mail is being deleted from your mailbox. This is automatically deleted from Office 365 platform. There is no two ways about it. And when we talk about the retention policy, the retention policies, Microsoft is going to say that clearly to you. We're going to talk about that in the next slide. But not now. Let me explain this further. I'm going to talk about retention policy. There is a time for retention policy from Microsoft. After that, your mail will be deleted. Then what because of how important those mails are? What if it is those kind of mails that keep the company going? And like we all know that our data is those mail are those of those data that made up the organization. So how important are those informations are for us if it's been deleted by Microsoft? Microsoft is not eligible for that. Microsoft is not responsible. So it is our customers' responsibility to keep such email, and also for internal security threat. Let's say, for example, a malicious effect happened in your organization. This happened in one of my one of clients in Lagos. I'm with her now, and they lost some data, but thank God that they have a backup and validated backup somewhere by Veeam that made them to get back to business and deleted all the affected from the affected data stream from their production server. If they have not put all those things in place, they might not be able to come out of it. And who knows the or the motive of the intruder that makes them that find their ways into their data center. So external security is another one. Apart from that, also legal and compliance requirements and manage hybrid deployment and migration. All of these are a very good reason why we need to back up our Office 365. Next slide. Next slide, please. So before now, we all believe that Microsoft takes care of everything, which I've explained. They are not. They don't take care of everything. So what exactly is Microsoft is taking care of? And I will tell us as a partner that most of our customers are still believing that Microsoft is responsible for everything that, as long as they have Office 365, they are cool, except very few. So it is our responsibility to get this across to them that, see, Microsoft do not take care of everything. So what exactly is customer reality, apart from the perception that we have? So now your data, it is your responsibility. Protection and long-term retention of Office 365 data, it is your responsibility. And how are you going to get this protected? You need Veeam solution from, and this very particular solution is Office for Veeam for Office 365 license that you need to have to your organization, to your customer to buy. This has been next slide. This has been it's been licensed per user by number of Office 365 users they have, and this is the retention policy I'm trying to explain. Office 365 to make sure that it keeps it for between roughly by default between 30 to 90 days. That is when they keep a customer's data, all those important emails. What happens to those emails after 90 days? They got deleted. So, but with Veeam Office 365 license, you'll be able to do the backup of this Office 365 even to another cloud provider or to on-prem into less expensive disk. Let's say, for example, a very important employee left the organization, and his or her email is very important to the organization and to the business. And for you to be keeping one of the users in Office 365, you are going to be paying for it because you are paying per user. So what Veeam is telling you is you can use Veeam to do a backup of that person's email to a less expensive on-premises or to another cloud provider that is cheaper with when it's being reside on Office 365. So next slide. So backing up of Office 365 email and plus Office 365, it is a must. It is a must. It's not. It is not recommended. I would say it is important. Okay, it is recommended for all of your customers to have this backup. Veeam can protect this for years. All depends on your choice and how important this is. So this is an eye opener for all partners that listen to me now, that all organizations that we have sold Office 365 into, we need to go and talk about Veeam to them. If there is need for us to showcase this on demo, POC, myself and Malo in our region respectively, we are ready to do this and work alongside with you to showcase how 365 can do this backup and this away from Microsoft's platform if it is inactive on that platform, instead of paying for that. So to your customer, it's going to save them cost, number one, then it's going to make them more proactive, and they won't be any loss when it comes to their data, when they come to important email. So this is the importance of backing up our Office 365. And like I've said, we can showcase this through demo to you if you want. Next slide, please. So I've made mention of this. It eliminates the risk of being access to your office, including Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive for business, and Microsoft Team. Only back up to any location, like I've made mention, including on-premises when we have a cost-effective disk or cost-effective cloud storage like AWS, Microsoft Azure, or even a location center, irregardless, depending on our location. So to protect Office 365 from this, will protect your Office 365 customers from accidental deletion that I've made mention, and other ones that I've made mention, security threats and retention policies gaps that Microsoft put in place. And for quick restore of individual 365 items and files with industry recoverability flexibility from Veeam perspective. And we can showcase that to you during demos, how we can recover of that even when it's outside of the 365. And this will also help you to help your customers to meet the legal and compliances requirements with effective discovery of Office 365 backup data. So as a partner now, we need to probably go more into all the customers that we have sold or that we know that is using Office 365 that have not started using to protect their data, okay, to start giving them this kind of additional this kind of information to them so that they will start getting themselves prepared for this. And the better we start getting this across to them, the better for everyone, better for them, better for you, partner, and better for all the vendors. Next slide, please. Next slide. So Office 365 backup solutions list from the future perspective talked about this. I'll be able to do a backup of Exchange Online and on-premises. We can do a backup of SharePoint online and on-premises, and do backup of OneDrive for business, sports, of Microsoft Teams, 25 restore option that is available. You can restore to any other availability, any place. So then from the flexibility of choice, we'll be able to deploy on premises, even in the cloud, and then job configuration based on, these are policy driven. So we can attach any policy to it to make sure that this is being captured and is going to be automated. without any manual intervention. This is another beauty about this thing. So when we know that, okay, we are going to keep this Office 365 platform for so number of days, let's say 90 days or after 30 days, let this move to less expensive days in another cloud or on premises or in a co-location center. All these are flexible and the choices we have. And the implementation, customer feedback, easy to e-discovery, all these are available from this platform that we can utilize. And when it comes to scale, it handles a large numbers of users. So it's not just for all the enterprise alone, like I've said. Even if your Office 365 customers are 5 users, it is SME friendly. That's another beauty and the selling point of this Office 365. Like I've said, it's per number of users that the customer is, and that is what determines the cost, and that is all. Then integration, it can so integrated to so the most important cloud platform provider. So when it comes to that integration, it's very friendly too. And from the breadth of service, like I've said, it comes across all the availability platform, from the physical to the virtual and to the cloud, regardless of where we want to take it into, where we want to replicate it to. Office 365 license module from Veeam can do all of that for us. This is only a visual diagram of how this happens. That we have Office 365 in this environment. You can do it from the Exchange to the SharePoint on premises, Microsoft Office 365 platform, from Exchange on SharePoint on, and the next one, please. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please.
Yes, Ademola, I've changed it to the next slide.
Okay, I'm not seeing it. So as we say from here, we can take it to object storage in the cloud in terms of the restore. So we can have it in Microsoft Azure, can have it in IBM Cloud, can have it in AWS, S3 compatibility, Amazon S3, and we can even have it in Glacier for archiving purpose if that is what we need. And from the restore point, we can do a singular restore, export, send, restore, save. All of these are the features that is available, and this is newly added to this Office 365 version 4. Next, Malo. So that is important of Veeam. And like I used to tell people, when it comes to sorry, Malo, before you talk, when it comes to our data from the backup perspective, there are 3 things our customers are guiding it towards, and the first one is data integrity, operation efficiency, and high availability. From operation efficiency is when the users is always having access to the data without any interruption. So how often do they get this, and how smart are they? For example, an ATM user, ATM is attached to his server at the end point. So what happens if that server is down? Meaning that the ATM users will not be able to use the server, the ATM machine. And what that means is the organization, the financial organization is losing because the users cannot. So everything translated to a loss for a business oriented management. So with Veeam, able to have access at a very low cost to all your data. Like we have said that data is a, and data is likely to go to all our now. So data is important to all organizations. So we need to make sure we protect all this data, even the one in the cloud. For example, for Office 365, we need to protect them. So any of our customers is not having a Veeam in place for the Office 365, they need to accept that Veeam protection to Office 365 in the environment for ease of for simplicity, for purpose, and for the benefit of the progress of the organization. So that is it about Veeam Office 365 portion. So I will now step down again for my colleagues, Malo, which will take us on the next slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Ademola. Hi again. Veeam, at this segment, I'll discuss about VCSP, and that's where Veeam can offer backup as a service or DR as a service. So I'll take you through it. And Some of it is that I'll discuss about the challenges that push Veeam to come up with a solution that it can be able to offer backup as a service and DR as a service. I'll talk about the benefits that Veeam service providers can be able to get from Veeam using Veeam as a solution. So what are the challenges? What are the common challenges that service providers are getting? These are the challenges that Veeam is trying to make sure that the challenges are met. A solution is provided for the challenges that the service providers are facing. So one of the challenges that service providers are receiving is connectivity. In connectivity, this, in terms of challenge, is that service providers have been getting a challenge in connectivity in terms of security, where they can be able to make sure that they have a secure connection from their premise to the customer's environment. That is the customer's infrastructure to their infrastructure. Before that, you'll get that service providers have been having insecure connectivity, where my colleague talked about VPN that is used by Veeam, that is Veeam PN, to make sure that you have good connectivity and secure connectivity from the customer side to your environment. Also, my colleague talked about Veeam One. In Veeam One, it makes sure that it accelerates connectivity from the customer side to your infrastructure as a service provider, making sure that your connectivity is fast enough and it's also secure. Another common challenge that service providers have been getting is the infrastructure. You find that infrastructure that the service provider has is not big enough to make sure that every customer can be able to be given, let us say, a single server to act as a DR or to act as a receiver of backup that has been done on from the customer side. So Veeam can be able to make sure that it addresses this issue of infrastructure, and in some of the ways that it makes sure that it addresses this issue is make sure that you, after onboarding your customers, your infrastructure can grow as the data from the customer side is growing. That one, it makes sure that it gives you options, either to go with OPEX or CAPEX, or you can go with both of them. In sense that if you look at the terms and the type of licensing that is used, service providers are given an option in that a service provider can be able to go with either rental or perpetual VCSP licenses. These are Veeam Cloud Service Providers licenses that you can be able to choose in. Or you can choose to either go with both, in that you can get perpetual licenses and you mix them with rental licenses, and you can be able to offer these services to your customers. And in the long run, you'll find that it's cheaper using that one, and it can be able to integrate with the infrastructure that you have at that time. For service provider, another challenge that they have been receiving is that service providers, they need to have discovery over the changes in the customer side, and also making sure that they can be able to manage the infrastructure on the customer side in terms of how they do backup and how they do recovery and how they do failovers, for example. Veeam brings on table a way that it's easier to discover any changes in the infrastructure side from the customer side, and also gives you a way that you can be able to manage, not only manage, but in a most transparent way. You can be able to manage the customer's workload. Then another challenge that service providers have been meeting is billing. If it comes to billing, how do you decide that this is what was used and this is how much the customer should be able to pay you? So Veeam has integrated a way of billing in that you can be able to bill your customer easily. You can be able to create invoices online from your end, and this one can be able to be sent on the customer side. Veeam assists in reporting that makes sure that reports can be able to be generated on monthly basis on what has been used by the customer side. So the customer will only pay on what they have used on their side. And you as a partner, you can only be billed by Veeam on what your usage was for a month. Let us say for a month. So in that, we have different products under Veeam under Veeam service provider program. So, for example, if you have Veeam backup and replication, under Veeam backup and replication, you have also different enterprise solutions under it and different editions under it. So these ones, if Veeam backup and replication, let us say for an instance, Veeam backup and replication enterprise has been used, you'll be billed only for that. And lastly, but not least, we have security. Service providers have been having an issue with security. That one I talked about it. That is in that security from the end user side to your infrastructure, and also from your infrastructure to the cloud. If, for example, some of the data that is from the customer side is sitting on a public cloud, may it be on Microsoft Azure, may it be on AWS, how secure is that data? How secure is the customer's data that is sitting in infrastructure and also sitting on the cloud? Veeam provides different ways of making sure that data is secure. From encryption, from secure, it makes sure that from the customer side, during transfer from the customer side to your environment, and from your environment to the cloud, the data is secure. And also during rest of that data, making sure that your data is secured in terms of encryption. And if you need a third party immutability service, such as Amazon S3, Veeam can be able to integrate directly with Amazon S3, making sure that your data can't be reached by ransomware. Your data can't be can't be changed in a way that without your authorization from your end or from the customer side. So I'll look at a small use case of a service provider setup, and this is how the service provider is made. Setup is made. So you'll find that a customer has a virtual server that's sitting on the environment. You'll have a customer that has workstations, and also you'll have that customer have a physical server. On this virtual servers, let us say they're running a solution such as Veeam backup and replication, any edition of your choice. You have Veeam availability suite that is running on this virtual server that is protecting these virtual servers. And you also have workstation. Some of your customers have some workstation and physical servers. So on these physical servers, you can get Veeam agents that are running on these physical servers. And also on this workstation, you'll have our workstation agent that's running on that workstation agent, workstation. And for virtual servers, you'll have Veeam backup and replication, or you have Veeam availability suite. At the end of the month, and you have an active job that's running, because you'll only be billed by an active job. Those workloads that have been protected are the ones that you'll be billed on. So at the end of the month, a report will be generated on the number of virtual machines that were protected, the number of workstations that were protected, and the number of physical servers that were protected. From there on, and from the service provider side, you'll have a console that gives you very clear. You'll have very clear connectivity to the customer side. You'll be able to have a transparent look at the customer side infrastructure. In onboarding, it will be easy because you can be able to onboard through the console. You can be able to do billing through the console, and also licensing, administering of licenses to specific workloads on the customer side. You can have a remote device discovery in terms of if a device has been added in the environment, you'll have access to that. You can also have a way of monitoring all the workloads from the customer side. And management also is easier from that side, is secure, and also you can be able to give access to customer in a way that a customer can be able to say, for example, recover some workload that is sitting on your cloud, or can be able to recover, can be able to restore from his environment, his or her environment, from the customer's environment. We'll look at about Veeam Service Provider Console, how it's done. And if you have interacted with it, you'll find that it gives a simple setup. Setting it up is very simple. You'll have a way of remote monitoring and management. That one I've talked about it. You have license engine and usage reporting. This is easy, where you can be able now to report on your usage, on monthly usage. And I'll also talk about integration and automation in a way that Veeam as a solution gives you a wide range of integration to third-party solutions. If it comes to workloads, such as physical workloads, cloud workloads, and also virtualized workloads, Veeam can be able to integrate with them. And also it gives integration to different storages. Let us say, may it be NAS storages that you're trying to protect from the customer side. Veeam can be able to give you integration that is unmatched. And also, if you look at automation, you can be able to automate some of the services. You can be able to automate failover. You can be able to automate backups. You can be able to automate, let us say, an upgrade if you need an upgrade of the agents that are running on the customer side. I'll also talk about billing. Inside the console that Veeam provides for service providers, you'll get a billing report. You can be able to know this customer, this have been assigned to this customer. You can be able to send invoices to specific customers. You can be able to automate how those invoices are sent out to customers in a way that it will be easy on your side. An invoice that has been actually modified by you, you have put it in a way that it shows your company and what the customers what the usage from the customer side. Also, Veeam Service Provider Console for Veeam service providers, it gives you a multi-tenancy serviceability. If you're talking about that one, is that you as a service provider, you can be able to divide your resources in a way that meet specific customer needs. So, for example, on your side, you'll have a way that you can be able to say, you want this memory to be allocated to a specific customer. You'll give them computing. You'll give them storage. You'll give them memory according to the need of a specific customer. You are given a flexibility as a service provider to provide this. I'll also talk about Veeam Service Provider Console and the platform which is provided from Veeam side, and these are some of the benefits that are provided from the Veeam side. The Service Provider Console will deliver more value to your customers, in that with these Veeam powered services that come from this side, you'll be able to deliver more value, in that you'll get the licenses. Now you can be able to provide what Veeam licenses can be able to provide to your customers. In a nutshell, you'll be able to provide DR as a service. you'll be able to provide backup as a service to those customers that cannot probably afford to purchase Veeam licenses. This will also come into play where it will give you an increase of revenue you as a service provider. It will be able to give you an increase in revenue where not only you can be able to stand out from your competition, you'll be winning clients in that those clients that cannot purchase licenses, you can be able to provide them further revenue. And also adding on that is that, for example, if you have a customer that has purchased licenses, you can be able to provide them DR as a service. This comes in where this customer, let us say the customer is following a 3-2-1 rule, where they need to have 3 copies of their backup. They need to have them sitting on 2 different medias, and they need one to be offline. You'll find that after the customer has already installed these licenses, they already have one backup sitting in the infrastructure. You'll have one that's supposed to be offline sitting in your infrastructure as a service provider. This one gives you an opportunity not only offering that, not only making sure that the customer's data is secure, but also earning further revenue on that. You'll have a way to differentiate yourself from competition, where Veeam is purely a channel-based solution, where Veeam does not only gives you flexibility where you can be able to offer these services to you, because Veeam themselves, they don't have a cloud storage that they provide to their customer, but they give you a mandate to make sure that the customer's data is protected. You'll have a difference from your competitors in that your data will be sitting in your infrastructure as a service provider, and you can be able to advise more on that data on your side as a Veeam partner and also as a Veeam service provider. I'll also talk about, I also mentioned the summary of what we have gone through. Veeam Cloud Data Management, I'll give a summary from what we have spoken about, me and my colleague. For Veeam backup and replication and orchestration across your organization, making sure that at this time of pandemic that has hit the world, you can be able to offer backup, replication, and also orchestration of your data centers. In that, orchestration in a way that, for example, you can have a failover without a human intervention. Or even if it gives you a human intervention, you have very minimal human intervention. Let us say, for example, a worker is working remotely, and let us say they lose their workstation, or they lose their workstation that they are using remotely, or this is a branch office. That branch office gets a natural disaster. How soon will your data be up and running, or how soon will that workstation be up and running? Veeam gives you a way that you can be able now to fail over to cloud services such as Microsoft Azure, where that with that workstation you can be able to fail over your worker to an Azure virtual machine, and the Azure can be able the worker can be able to access that virtual machine and continue working without having to wait for some days or months to be replaced, to have their workstation replaced. Veeam also provides proven methodologies that drive intelligent data management, where that you can be able to manage your data intelligently. Data can be able to be to be handled specifically on the way that data is. So, for example, if I give an instance of Office 365 that my colleague talked about, Veeam gives you a tool that is Veeam backup for Office 365 in a way that it can be able to handle specific type of data. So let us say for Office 365, you have mails that you need to recover. Veeam can be able to recover a single item, a single mail, making sure that it handles every data intelligently and manages every data intelligently. We'll talk about intelligence-driven monitoring and alerting and remediation. This one comes under a tool called Veeam. My colleague talked about that one, where you can be able to monitor, you can be able to get real-time alerting, you can be able to give remediations to a specific issue that has hit your infrastructure. I'll give an example. If you have your infrastructure and let us say the storage is running out, with Veeam, you can be able to get real-time monitoring and you can be able to be given an alert, and it will tell you with this your storage will get finished or replenished at this time of year or this month. You can be able to get that reporting. With Veeam, you can also be able to leverage on your data and for greater business acceleration. Leveraging your data in terms of with Veeam and Veeam data labs, to be specific, you can be able to do patching in an excluded environment. In this environment, you can be able to do patching of your environment. You can be able to do trial and error in a secluded environment without affecting your infrastructure, without affecting the infrastructure of the customer. This is what Veeam can be able to offer you to offer around. And for example, if you are doing patching or you are doing some trial and error in this secluded environment, if things goes wrong, you don't affect your main infrastructure, your primary infrastructure. Another last point is that with Veeam, you have no proprietary lock-in. It just works with all major hardware vendors and clouds. Veeam doesn't come with its own hardware, in that it doesn't lock you to a specific hardware, or it doesn't lock you to a specific virtualization vendor out there. You can be able to move around. You are not locked into a specific hardware, which this is an advantage to a customer and also an advantage to a service provider and also a reseller. So we have reached at the end of our presentation. If you have any question, you can surely write it in this Q&A section, and we'll have time to go through it and also answer it. Or Ademola, if you have anything to add on that, you can be able to go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Malu, and thank you everyone who joined. Some of the questions I've responded back to them, but I think maybe like one or two I was unable to respond back to them. Maybe you can check now and see those probably majorly on side you've spoken about. So everyone that has joined, we appreciate your time, and we know that this is the first kind of online. We've been used to seeing our faces and be getting this kind of presentation, but at least we'll be rolling out much of this. The purpose of all this is just for us to have some first kind of level of information to our customers. So the better we started going out to them, informing them about this, or to do the backup of their remote offices to the customers on the edge places, you shouldn't be a problem anymore using Veeam. And this is going to be a form of a revenue. Maybe other questions, queries that we might have. Let us, if you are from the eastern part, you can channel that through Malo. You have his numbers and the email. And if you're from the western part, you can channel that to me, Dima, or via Bolaji. So we will answer you. And if there's any need for any demo, I've gotten some 1 or 2 requests for demos on Office 365 already. So we are going to work on that and show the demo to your customers. And if it is the POCs that you want us to run, them always available. We can do all of this with them. We also have the back end support of the Veeam guys, the technical guys. So we are not alone on this platform. So they are also with us to give us 100% support in any area that we have not really fully scale up. They are supporting us. So we are not alone. So we will work together and make sure that the customer is happy and you are happy to do the business and everybody is happy together. Thank you all. And the other questions, I think Malu have said, you can just go through them like 1 or 2 and you can go ahead and add. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time, and we hope that we keep to time. Okay, we are like 15 minutes away from the time set. But having said that, I hope this is a good information to us as a partner. Thank you, and God bless you all. Please let us keep safe.
Yeah, Melo, thank you for the clarity. Thank you, Adimola. Thank you, guys, for joining today's session. You can reach out to Adimola and Malo if any more questions or clarity required on today's session. You can reach out on their email ID, Adimola and Malo. Thank you, Malo. Thank you, Adimola.